This episode 5 of the bike build on my 06 YZ450 that I got for $600. We got to replace the tensioner, and then I also picked up some stage 1 hot cams for it. Picked up the cams because I realized the auto decompression wasn't working. So I think the spring is weak because when you'd kick it, the centrifugal force would pull that out, which would make the auto decompression not work. So that's why this thing was extremely hard to kick. We're gonna get the tensioner slapped in and get the cams put in, and this thing should be pretty much ready to go. All right, got the hot cams in. Everything turns over nice and smooth. I finished putting it back together. Should be good to go. All right, had the bike running and it jumped timing for some reason. So what I did was I took it apart, and I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I went to check valve clearance, and one of my exhaust valves is way out of spec. So with these hot cams, the exhaust, you want it at about a 0.2 millimeter and the intake at about a 0.1. And the one that's way out would be the one on the right side on the exhaust, and that one's at like 0.03. So gotta get in there at the feeler gauge, mark it all down, and then order the corrections. This process is actually pretty easy. Basically, you find the thickest that will slide underneath the lobe, and that is what your clearance is. And then you just do some math, get the correction to make that clearance what you want it to be. All right, these are the clearances that I got, and you want to make sure when you're measuring this, the engine is cold. So this one's pretty much spot on. This one I can go a little bit thicker with the shim to hit that mark, but honestly it's not bad. This one I need to go thinner, and this one I need to go a lot thinner. I'm kind of curious if there's something else in there with that shim, because that's a big difference. Now we gotta take this apart, take the caps off, and measure the shims that are underneath the caps currently. Forgot to measure the third one, so I've got to grab that measurement real quick. The clearance on the one that I forgot to measure is 0.18, so I need to grab a thicker shim on that one. And there's your shim right there on the bottom of each one of these caps. And get all these pulled out and measured and show you what we're working with. All right, so this was the thickness of the shim. So this is the new thickness that I need to order for this gap to be near that spec. And same thing with all these other ones. And then this one was pretty spot on, so I'm gonna leave it how it is. I'm gonna get online and get those parts ordered, and then when those show up, we're gonna go ahead and throw those in. And hopefully that makes the bike run, because if that doesn't work, I honestly don't know what else to do. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. All right, it doesn't look like I can get every size exactly, so I'm gonna get as close as I can. Got the shims in, so we're gonna go ahead and get those thrown on. I also got a bunch of different parts here for some other bikes, but we'll be focused on these. These did all come labeled, but I am definitely going to remeasure them to make sure. All right, they all came in the right packages like I thought they would, but I definitely wanted to make sure. We're gonna go ahead and get these slapped in and get this bike put together. Hopefully, it's the last time that it has to come apart. All right, got the top end put back together. I did check clearances again, and everything is within 0.02 millimeters, so that's pretty good. Got this tusk shifter here and a couple other things I'm gonna throw on, and then we'll try to start this thing again. Got it running. I was kicking it and kicking it and kicking it, and all I was getting were these nasty backfires. So doing some research, figured out it was just way too lean. I took the air fuel screw, turned it out like all the way, and it's still doing the same thing. So I had to get some new jets, take the carb off, put bigger jets in it. The pilot jet, I went from a 45 to a 58, so that was a pretty big jump. for the main jet, and went from 165 to a 185. That's another huge jump. That got it running. So I'm gonna heat cycle it a few times. And we're gonna take it up and down the road and make sure it doesn't jump timing again or whatever it was doing before. But it seems to be running all right now. All right, rode the bike around yesterday, but it was getting pretty dark, so I didn't get a whole lot of footage. Got the bike loaded up as well as the free ride. I'm gonna go meet up with some of my buddies. We're gonna go ride around, try to dial this thing in a little bit better, and we'll see how it does. It's been so long since I've ridden that bike. I don't really remember what it felt like, but I do like the way it feels with the hot cams in it. So can't really have too much of a comparison. We're on the KTM. I just swapped with Gary. Just giving that thing a little rip. It looks mean, dude. It looks mean. I'm pretty happy with it. That's all the riding I'm going to do on the 450 today. It's just not very fun to ride around here. It's all flat. But next weekend, I'm taking it to the dunes. I have a paddle tire for it, so we're going to throw that on before the next video. And that'll be the true test for the bike. All right, had a pretty fun day of riding. But on the YZ 450, there's a couple things we need to address. The main one is my brake line. So, stopped by the store, picked up a brake line, some fluid. I'm gonna go ahead and get that swapped out. But other than that, the bike did pretty good today. Having no rear brake was kind of interesting, but you know, made it work. So that's it for this video. Next video, we should be headed to the dunes.